Commander Zealeth's 3 hands trembled as she initiated the quantum transmission. Around her, the bridge of the Eternal Dawn shuddered under another plasma strike. Through the fractured viewport, she could see the Cravath swarm, thousands of obsidian warships blotting out the stars like a plague of mechanical locusts. "Ma'am, shields at 7%, her tactical officer croaked, blue blood trickling from a gash across his cranial ridge. "We have minutes." Zealeth had led the Galactic Concordance for 3 decades. She had negotiated peace treaties with 17 species. She had prevented 4 wars through diplomacy alone. But the Cravath didn't negotiate. They didn't conquer. They consumed 12 worlds had gone dark in as many weeks. Billions dead. The Concordance fleet, once 20,000 strong, was now reduced to scattered survivors running on dying engines. And now, she was about to break the oldest law in civilized space. "Open the channel," she whispered. Her communications officer, a young Valorian named Thrix, stared at her with all 4 eyes widened in horror. "Commander, that's to the quarantine zone, that's to them. I know what it is. They're banned from Concordance space for a reason. The species is classified as Class 9 existential threat. Extreme aggression, irrational behavior, refusal to accept extinction." Zealeth's voice was hollow. "I wrote half those classifications myself, Thrix. Open the channel." The young officer's hands shook as she complied. Static filled the bridge, then a voice rough and strangely musical. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance. Who is this? And how did you get this frequency?" Zealeth's translator struggled with the harsh consonants of the human language. "This is Commander Zealeth of the Galactic Concordance. We require assistance." A pause. When the human spoke again, there was something dangerous in her tone. "The Concordance? You mean the same government that blockaded our system? That threatened to glass Earth if we attempted to leave our designated zone?" "Yes." "The same Concordance that called us dangerous primitives and unfit for galactic society?" Zealeth closed her eyes. "Yes." Another explosion rocked the ship. "Half the bridge lights died. We're dying," Zealeth said simply. "The Cravath are wiping us out. They've taken everything. Our fleet is broken. Our worlds are burning. You're our last option because you're the only species insane enough to fight when there's no hope of winning." Silence stretched for an eternity. Then, "Send coordinates. We're on our way." The channel went dead. Thrix stared at her commander. "They're coming?" "Just like that? Humans don't ask questions when someone needs help," Zealeth murmured, remembering the classified files. "That's what makes them dangerous." 17 hours later, the Eternal Dawn was adrift, life support failing. The Cravath had pulled back, circling like carrion birds, taking their time. They knew there was nowhere to run. Then space tore. Not the gentle fold of a quantum jump, but a violent rupture. 3 human warships burst through reality itself, trailing fire and impossible physics. They were smaller than Concordance vessels, barely destroyer class, but they moved with predatory grace. "Unidentified vessels. You are in violation of Concordance space," the Cravath hive mind transmitted. "Withdraw or be destroyed." Captain Chen's response was succinct. "Come and try." What followed wasn't war. It was art. The human ships didn't have shields. They were too busy generating power for weapons that shouldn't exist. They didn't retreat when hit, they accelerated. The Defiance took a direct hit that would have vaporized a Concordance cruiser. Its armor glowed white-hot, and it kept firing. "They're using nuclear-pumped laser arrays," Thrix gasped. "That technology was banned centuries ago as too unstable." "Humans never got the memo," Zealeth whispered, unable to look away. A human corvette, the Indomitable, had its engine section blown clean off. Instead of dying, it used maneuvering thrusters to ram a Cravath battleship, detonating its remaining munitions at point-blank range. Both ships vanished in a miniature sun. Indomitable down. Chen's voice crackled over the open channel, but she took 40 of them with her. Acceptable ratio. Acceptable ratio? These beings were insane. The battle raged for 2 hours. The humans should have been annihilated in the first 10 minutes. They were outnumbered 50 to 1. Their technology was primitive. Their tactics were suicidal. But the Cravath had never faced an enemy that simply refused to die. When the Defiance finally limped alongside the Eternal Dawn, it was more wreckage than ship. The Cravath were in full retreat, something no species had ever witnessed. "Docking request." Chen's voice was hoarse from smoke inhalation. Granted, Zaleth whispered. The human captain who stepped onto the bridge was young, shockingly young by concordant standards. Her uniform was scorched, her face smudged with soot, and she was bleeding from a dozen places. But her eyes burned with something Zaleth had never seen in 30 years of command. Purpose. You called, Chen said simply. We answered. Zaleth's legs gave out. She sank into her command chair, staring at this terrifying, wonderful creature. Why, after everything we did to your people? Why help us? Chen smiled, a strange, sad expression. Because someone needed to. And because maybe it's time the galaxy learned that humans don't hold grudges when people are dying. She paused. Also, we really hate bullies. Thrick stepped forward cautiously. The Concordance owes you a debt that— Keep your debt, Chen interrupted. Just lift the blockade. Let humanity join your Concordance, not as prisoners or threats, but as equals. Her smile turned sharp. Because trust me, Commander, you're going to need us. The Cravath will be back, and next time they'll bring friends. Zaleth looked at this small, fragile being who had just rewritten the rules of warfare. She thought about the thousands of regulations that classified humans as too dangerous for civilized space. She thought about how those same regulations had nearly cost them everything. The blockade is lifted, she said. Welcome to the Concordance. Captain Chen. As the human grinned, that terrifying, predatory expression, Zaleth realized something profound. They hadn't called the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They'd called the only species crazy enough to answer. And perhaps, in a universe full of logical, calculating civilizations, that was exactly what they needed.